Hey. So, I'll just see if anybody shows up. If nobody shows up, then I'll go to bed. But I had planned to try going live in the evening. So this is like 9:30 something for me, 9:30 something p.m. And I'm just gonna be here for 30 minutes, and then I'm gonna go to bed. So let me take my vitamins. So I actually have, if anybody's interested, I have two sets of vitamins. So I have the sets that I take in the morning, and then I have what I take in the evening. And this is only just so that I'm not swallowing a whole bunch of pills at one time. So my morning vitamins are like multivitamin. I think there's ashwagandha in here. I'm trying to think. Vitamin C with zinc is here. There's one other one, I can't remember. And then in the evening, I have magnesium. It supports my sleep. I have omega-3 in the evening. The reason I take omega-3 in the evening is because I'm not awake for those burps, those fishy smell burps, yeah. I also have a probiotic in here as well for my digestive health. There's one more thing. Oh, yes, collagen. Collagen, yes, collagen. Is that how they say it? I have collagen here as well. Yeah, anyway, so I'm taking my night vitamins now while I see if anybody will join me on this evening live. But if no one joins me, that's fine. That's okay. Okay, so it's quite a bit of pills. Let's see. The collagen, like the dose, the daily dose for the collagen is like three pills. So I have the collagen, and then the magnesium is 2 pills, and then the fish oil is 1, and then the probiotic is 1. So that's like 7 pills that I'm taking right now to support my health. So the only other time that I go live on TikTok is in the mornings when I'm taking some kind of walk. If I'm going walking, like after my strength training session. And typically when I go live at that time, people join. So we'll see. We'll see if anyone joins at this time. But yeah, what I wanted to talk about briefly was just how cravings can really derail your progress. Like, trying to lose weight, working on losing weight, working on getting healthy, working on getting fit. Cravings, yeah. I know for me, my history with food, like, I would still say I would say I'm a recovering carboholic. Let me say it that way. Yes. So let me not sit up here and talk like I've overcome, right? I'm working on overcoming. But I am a recovering, raging carboholic, meaning it was always about the carbs for me. What I'm looking at is my work. Just 1 second. I want to make sure that work is going fine. Multitasking here. There's something that I'm running at work, and so I just need to make sure it's building correctly. Yeah. So having been like a raging not a carboholic, right? So the bread, the candy, the cookies, the cake, like, even if I wasn't having like unhealthy food, but even the healthy food, even the quote unquote the healthy food that I would eat was very carb heavy. And so when I started my journey this time last year and decided that I was going to do high protein, like not just high protein, but like prioritizing protein first before any other, food group. I had to come face to face with my carb addiction, right? I had to come face to face with the fact that, like, if I didn't have carbs, I felt like my day wasn't complete, my meal wasn't complete. Hello, those who are joining, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah. So, once you make a change like I did, and you say, okay, you're going to prioritize protein, you're going to prioritize vegetable, like that's when you really begin to realize how much carbs and particularly sugar that you've been consuming. And so the reason I'm giving that background is because when I was deep into my carb addiction, I didn't consider the sensations, cravings, right? It didn't register as cravings to me. It was just what I normally ate. But now that I'm not eating that way anymore, I'm not saying I don't eat carbs, but I just don't eat as much as I used to. I'm eating now on average maybe 100 grams of carbs a day, sometimes less, sometimes more. And so because I'm not eating that many carbs as I used to, now when I feel that urge, or when I feel that like compulsion to eat carbs like sugar, I now recognize it as a craving. And this was important for me, and I'll tell you why. Because there's something about eating a high carb, particularly high sugar. Maybe I shouldn't say carbs, maybe I should say sugar, because it's really sugar that's the culprit. When you eat a moderately high or high sugar diet, right? You are effectively, at least for me, okay, let me speak for myself. When I was eating high sugar, I was effectively high. For lack of a better term, I was high most of the time. And what that means is I never really allowed my emotions and my true internal state to be felt. Because, the dopamine, right, from sugar, like the feel good, right? The high, that's the best way I can describe it. The high from sugar almost keeps you in this constant state of like not really feeling, not really sensing. The minute you have like an emotional tension or like emotional disturbance, it could be anxiety, it could be anger, whatever, immediately, like, I'm reaching for that candy bar, I'm reaching for that cookie, I'm reaching for that cake, I'm reaching for, right? So I was never really feeling my feelings in their entirety. I wasn't sitting with my emotional reality, because I would use sugar to dull my emotional senses or to escape my emotional reality. And so, again, why am I saying this? Because once you start down a healthier path, particularly when it comes to nutrition, a dragon that you are going to come across on your journey is that dragon of now sitting with those emotional realities that previously used to be hidden and covered under that sugar fog, that fogginess, right? Emotionally, that sugar like provided. Yeah. And so that's what makes cravings feel like threatening, at least for me, right? The threat of the craving is like, oh shit, I don't want to slip back into old patterns. Oh, I remember when I used to feel this way, and typically I would soothe myself with like a packet of Oreos, for example. Yeah. And so, like I've said it before, I feel like when you start out on your weight loss journey, you can afford to focus on physical things. You can afford to focus on eating right or eating better, working out, walking, exercise, physical activity. You can join groups, and I feel like with the process of actively losing, there's enough happening physically to kind of keep you somewhat distracted, right? Somewhat. But once you start approaching goal, once you start approaching, because you're not going to lose weight forever, right? You're not going to keep losing until you disappear. So once you start approaching goal, you're going to start losing that payoff of seeing the scale go down, watching your clothes get baggy on your body, right? Yeah, all those are like the payoffs from actively losing weight, but eventually that goes away. And for me, I'm quite close to goal. I'm about 20, maybe 20 to 30, I would say 20 to 30 pounds from goal. And so at this point, I'm not doing anything aggressive. I'm not like, not that I'm not locked in, but I'm not trying to lose like 20 pounds in 1 month, for example. Yeah. So there was more of an urgency when I was 360 pounds, yeah. But now, because I'm switching my mentality to a maintenance mentality, so I'm not looking for a pound a week loss or 2 pounds a week. No, I'm not. I'm comfortable with 0.25 at this point, yeah, because again, I need to switch over to maintenance. But there's something about getting to maintenance that gives you an opportunity to now start facing those tendencies to escape emotional realities with sugar. Yeah. You kind of have to get there. You kind of have to get, because if not, the self-sabotage will start. And again, I feel like the temptation or the pressure to self-sabotage increases the closer you get to goal, right? When you're actively losing, you can just throw yourself into the process. You be at the gym like, 6 days a week. There's just something about actively losing that allows you to distract yourself to some extent from like maybe the deeper realities that are happening, in your soul, in your psyche. Yeah. But once you're approaching maintenance and you're no longer going to have that payoff, and one of the hazards that I think happens is that some of us become so uncomfortable with that eventuality that, hey, I'm going to have to, face, the realities of my internal health, my mental health, my emotional health, right? My soul health, right? And I think sometimes the anxiety of that becomes so much that we end up pushing our weight loss journey to unhealthy limits. And I've seen that happen, right? Where you've reached should now be like a maintenance, this is where you should be maintaining. But then you have people who aggressively just keep, because they still want to experience that dopamine feedback. They still want to experience the thrill of having the scale go down, right? And so I think for me, like I said, as I'm approaching maintenance, I'm really thinking about these things a lot and thinking about like the mechanism of cravings, right? And what is it about cravings that still makes me anxious? What is it about cravings that still feels like a threat, either to me or to my progress, right? Yeah. So people are joining and leaving. Thank you for those of you who joined, even for a few seconds. I appreciate it. I'm a very new account. I'm a very brand new account. I literally like started this like not up to 2 months ago, I don't think. So I know the growth process is going to take a while, but if anything, I appreciate, like I started this account for representation purposes. So I'm not necessarily, trying to go big, not necessarily, right? I started this account, first of all, to kind of document my journey. I also started this account to publicize my journey, because I feel like the healthy peer pressure will help me to stay on track, because I don't want a situation where like 1 year from now I gain back all the weight, and then people who were following my journey, they're now like, what happened? What happened? And I'm not saying that's a problem. Like, if that's part of somebody's journey, that's fine. They still deserve to be celebrated and encouraged there. But I know for me, the positive peer pressure will go a long way in helping me, until maintenance becomes more comfortable for me. Yeah, I think if anything, like the part of this journey that is giving me the most anxiety is the maintenance part. Simply because, when you've been morbidly obese for decades, like I have been, I am not a stranger to weight loss. In terms of like actually getting the scale to go down, ooh, baby, that's not a problem. The problem has always been maintaining. Even the little losses I used to have, the 20 pounds or 25 pounds, like, I would always gain. So I feel like I have been successful at weight loss and I have been a failure at prolonged weight loss. Let me put it that way. Yeah. So, again, I'm thinking a lot about maintenance. Like maintenance is on my mind, and it's because I want to succeed. That's really it. I want to succeed. I am succeeding, but I want to maintain my success. Let me put it that way. Yeah. So I'm beginning to think about more of these mental health things, these emotional health things. And, doing that work to uncover, like, what are my actual triggers, right? Like, the question is not what are you eating? The question is what's eating you. Yeah. So I'm really beginning to think on that more as I continue this journey. So, yeah. So there's a post that I'm going to be releasing at some point this week, either tomorrow or Friday, where, I talk about the intense craving that I had this morning. I had an intense craving. I actually woke up hungry. I woke up ravenously hungry this morning. And I was able to ignore the hunger because I like to train fasted. So I train at the gym about 5 days a week. I go first thing in the morning. Some days I wake up 4:30, 5 a.m. just so I can get it out the way before my household wakes up. And yeah. And so I woke up this morning. I could eat a whole goat. That's how hungry I was. But I successfully I drank cold water. I successfully ignored the hunger because I like to train fasted. I really don't like eating anything before I train. I find that my training performance is better. So, but then after my gym session, yeah, my stomach was like, And so I had protein shakes. Typically, when that's the case for me, it's not all the time, but typically when I get cravings like that, particularly first thing in the morning, it's a sign that like my cycle is about to begin. Yeah. So I've tracked enough of my, just enough of my regularity to know or to recognize the signs that, oh, okay, I'm moving into this phase or my cycle. So it wasn't like something that surprised me. I wasn't surprised by the hunger, but the intensity of the hunger, oh my gosh. And it wasn't hunger necessarily for like food. It was hunger for sugar. It was like, sugar, where's the sugar? Where's the sugar? So I created like a post about that. I'm going to publish that probably tomorrow. But yeah, cravings for me have taken on a new meaning. I think in times past when I would, struggle and, try and succeed and then fail at losing weight, I saw cravings as like an evil spirit, like an enemy, and but then I also felt defeated, right? Because again, I kept yo-yoing. I would lose, I would gain, I would lose, I would gain more. I would lose, and then I would end up heavier than I was before, So, and it kind of always came down to those cravings. It came down to just that almost inability to control myself around sugar. Yeah. And so, in that season of my life, cravings felt evil. Cravings felt like something that was being done to me and that was attacking me, if that makes sense. Yeah, see, I'll tell you something about myself. I used to carry like, I'm not saying I still don't carry it, self-improvement is a journey, but I know now that I used to carry quite a significant like victim mentality. I used to carry a mentality that, oh, things are being done to me, or I'm being set up, or, like it was just hard for me to really take responsibility. I feel like we can pretend to take responsibility, but there's a difference between that and actually taking responsibility. And that just wasn't my strong point. Like, definitely in my 20s and even into my 30s. I'm 44 now. So I'm well into my 40s now. But definitely when I was younger, like, I was much more likely to believe that something was being done to me, as opposed to realizing and accepting that, girl, you're doing this to yourself. And so during the time that I used to be anxious about cravings, and I used to see cravings as this evil thing, or this, like, almost like celestial setup, right? That I would, but then I remained power. It's amazing how there's something about taking responsibility that empowers you. At least that's what happened for me. Once I took absolute responsibility for my obesity, like absolute responsibility, like at no point am I still looking externally to blame something or someone or some circumstance. No, like, once I took absolute responsibility, it's amazing how the strength and the grace to now make the necessary changes, I found that strength and that grace. Yeah. And part of taking that responsibility was realizing that my cravings were a result of my choices, right? So the reason why you're craving sugar so much is because you eat sugar. Like, it's not this thing being done to you. It's not like some celestial setup, right? It's not, nobody is puppeting you. Like, the reason why you're craving sugar today is because for the last week you've been eating sugar, right? And so your cells, like your organs, everything, right, is just so used to being bathed in that substance, right? And so just taking that responsibility and going through the discomfort of basically changing that approach, right? And that's not to say I don't ever have sugar. That's not true, but it's much less. People, like, there was a time I could eat 500, 600, 750 grams of sugar, like, in one day. In one day. Like, make it make sense. Yeah. I was just so, like, breakfast would be cereal and bread, and then maybe a cookie, and then lunch would be rice, maybe I would add like a piece of meat to that, but it would be like a mountain of rice. And then dinner would be like fries and, yeah, like just carbs for days. And then in between those carby meals, I would have milkshake and ice cream and candy, and, yeah. So it just required like a total overhaul. Echo Smooth, it's now that you join. I was going to end this live like at the top of the hour. This was going to be like a 30-minute live. I was just experimenting doing a live like in the evening. Typically when I do lives, the few times I've done live on TikTok, it's been in the morning when I'm walking, like doing my walking exercise. But tonight I just said, okay, before I sleep, let me just try like an evening live. And now you join. Now, I don't know, maybe it's not, I'm brand new. I'm like brand new. So maybe I don't have the ability for people to leave comments. Look, I'm very green. Okay, you can leave comments. Echo Smooth, also known as Tudo Bams. How are you, dear? Thank you for coming. How are things on the West Coast? Well, maybe I'll stay for like an extra 5 minutes. I need to go and wash my face off and head to bed so that I can wake up early enough in the morning and go and train, because this new body is not natural, in the sense that, You know, there are some people like they don't have to do anything. Literally, those people are so blessed. They don't have to do anything, and yet they will maintain their physique. Yeah, I don't have a physique like that. Okay, so I know if I'm going to maintain this one, I have to put in those hours like at the gym. Yeah, so I'm not messing with that. So I can't stay for very long. But Echo Smooth, thank you for coming and thank you for commenting. I appreciate you. And everyone else, Love and Happiness liked the live. Thank you for liking the live. Thank you. And everyone else that has joined and left. Thank you for joining and leaving. I appreciate it. But yeah, Echo Smooth, I don't know if you have one question. I can answer one question and then I need to go and sleep. Yes. Or not. Echo Smooth, I can't tell, your post about the Hallelujah Challenge. I can't tell if it's satire or if you're being honest. I've been liking them, but I can't tell. Let me see. Hello, I think your live broadcast is very interesting. I hope to become friends with you. Hello, H. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for following. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Echo Smooth, will you have more live sessions? Yes, I'm planning to. I don't have any schedule right now. See, Mama is busy. I'm busy. When I say, some people, I'm not one of those people that use busy as like a way to dodge. No, like I'm actually busy. Yes. But yes, I am planning on having more lives. This is not my milieu, this is not my area, yeah, naturally. So I'm really stepping out of my comfort zone, like extremely stepping out of my comfort zone to do something like this, yeah. But I hope to get better as I do more, yeah. So yes, I do plan on having more lives. Let me tell you, Tudo, since you are here, let me tell you one thing that has helped me with this going live journey. You know how you go live and nobody stops by? Or even if, they come and go, people just come and go, because they're scrolling, right? So you come, so you don't necessarily have like a room full of people. Let me tell you why that does not bother me. Should I tell you why that doesn't? It doesn't bother me because for so many years, when I used to carry church on my head, those my years of carrying church on my head, I can't tell you how many times I would do, like churches have prayer line. I can't tell you how many times I would, because I was one of their prayer warriors, I was one of the prayer group, like one of the gym, I cannot tell you how many times I would get on, Mother in Israel. I cannot tell you how many times I would run prayer line and nobody will call in. But our pastor still expected. So as I'm the only one on the prayer line, I will lead prayer as if I'm leading thousands of people. I didn't know that practice will serve me now, because now it doesn't bother me. I can sit. If I said I was going to do this live for 1 hour and nobody showed up, I will still do it. I'll just be talking to myself. I didn't know that all those years of leading empty rooms in prayer will come in handy. Yeah. So it's very, in terms of like talking to nobody, I'm very comfortable doing it. Yes, that's that one, I know how to do it. Yeah, so it's helping me. It's just the part of this that is not comfortable for me is the visual part. Because prayer line is phone now. So, but this visual, people see. That's the part that I'm like, I'm a very private person, but it's okay. We move. Yeah, one day at a time. Absolutely. Yeah. Ekos will say, dang, I know. Today, don't worry. I'll come out to where you are and visit you. Gee, see, my history is long. As I sit down here. God. In my short life, I'm only 44. I know I look good, right? I'm only 44. But in those 44 years, if I tell you the things that I've seen, anyway, but I know I cannot trump you, because I know you used to be parish pastor one time. I remember you said something like that. You used to be, so I'm sure your own is even deeper. I'm an evangelist. No, I'm not an evangelist. Absolutely not. No. I'm just a regular girl. Building a platform to represent getting healthy in your 40s. I think getting healthy as a general topic is pretty, it's not that. But there's just something about doing it in your I think for women that have had children and have been upholding the whole world with their two hands, like there's just something about making that choice to prioritize yourself. And typically when you make that at my age with my profile, you make that like somebody's going to be upset, you know. Some people, because people are just so used to you being there for them. Yeah, so once you now decide, okay, I'm going to take time, I'm going to take effort, I'm going to take attention away from all these things I've been putting it on, and I'm going to put it on myself. Yeah, like people are not initially, nobody is happy with that. Yeah, so that's why I decided to go public with my journey, is because I want to add to that representation. There are so many amazing women in their 40s doing this as well, so I just want to add to that representation and show that in spite of this, in spite of that, you can carve out like a sacred space for yourself and get healthy and stay healthy. And yeah, thank you, Echo Smooth. You look really great for 44. Thank you. I try. I do my best. I still have, but you can tell, like there's a way you come close to me and you know that, okay, this woman is not a spring chicken, like there's a way, like, when you come close, you can tell. It is what it is. I've earned all these features. Yeah. So you come close enough, maybe from afar you'll be like, that's a hot chick, but when you come close you'll be like, okay, this is an auntie, she has been around for a little bit. But yeah, okay, I think I'm gonna end it here. Echo Smooth, thank you for hanging out with me, my dear. I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out here. It makes me feel like my life was successful with my one person that stuck. But yeah, this is a great platform. Yes, I plan to keep going. Yes, I plan to, and I will just grow. Like, I don't have like ambitious goals for this platform. Not really, at least not now. Yes, because I have other things going on. Yeah, but like I said, for me, this is about representation and also accountability. I feel like all these people watching me, like take this job. Like if I go and fat again, I know people will drag me. Yeah, like I know. I know if I just disappear, people will be like, where is she? Where is she? Where is she? And then, so I'm also doing it for selfish reasons, which is like, I want the internet to keep me accountable. I want my followers to keep me accountable, because I really want to master the maintenance. Losing weight, comes and go, but it's that maintenance. That's the real dragon that you have to slay. Yeah, so that's another reason I'm doing it, is so that I can surround myself with positive peer pressure, and even if I start going off, I can quickly correct it. There's just something about, you gain the first 5-10, you recognize it, you quickly, as opposed to because you're isolated or you feel like nobody, before you know it now 50 pounds there. Yeah, so that's another reason I'm doing it. But yeah, thank you, darling. I appreciate you. How your babies? I hope everybody's doing good. Well done, daddy. Spiritual daddy and physical daddy. Amazing. Awesome. Everyone else that's joining, thank you for joining. I appreciate your presence. Thank you. You're all doing great. That's awesome. That's a blessing. Well done. No. Easy. Easy, but we move. Yeah. All right, people. I'm gonna have to end it here so that I can get to bed on time. I'm on the East Coast, so it's after 10 for me. So thank you so much. I will see you all in the next one. Okay. Mwah. Bye.